All right, so welcome to Module 4, Lesson 3, Lead Generation and Scraping with AI. And this is where we're going to turn GPT into your digital prospector, finding, filtering, and qualifying high-quality leads automatically. Now, we need to clear up a really big misconception. When people hear the word scraping, they assume it means something like shady. We're not like a lead broker, okay? In this context, we're talking about ethically gathering publicly available information, and that kind of data is already on the web. So LinkedIn or social platforms, and turning it into organized lead lists like a CRM that you could actually use. Okay, so in short, we're going to be replacing a lot of manual works. And hours of manual work with structured prompts and automation. So the promise of this lesson is that you're gonna know to use GPT and a few simple tools to build clean, verified contact lists for your niche, and list those lists with owners and info and socials, and then generate personalized outreach messages automatically. And you don't have to do ads, no guessing, and no manual researching. So we're going to start with the lead scraping stack, where we have GPT, Phantom, Hunter, Tapio, Sheets, Airtable, etc. All right. So okay, so first we're going to start with lead scraping 101, where basically it just means identifying your ideal clients based on specific filters like location, niche, business type, and compiling that into a list. For example, independent personal training studios in Toronto GTA. That's the exact workflow I'm going to walk you through in this demo, and GPT will search, extract, and format that data into a spreadsheet, save you hours that a VA would normally spend digging through Google. And that's what's cool, is that GPT can handle this entire process from start to finish. You literally can tell it, like, word for word, find blah, 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 return blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. So now we're going to talk about the stack, the tools that actually make this work. So obviously the core is GPT itself. That's your search engine formatting and logic layer. Then we have Phantom or Clay. That's going to scrape things like LinkedIn and web profiles. Then we have Hunter or Snow. Those verify email addresses, so you don't have to waste time on invalid contacts. That's huge. Taplow or Taplow, I don't know how to say it. Is another layer by finding people who are actively engaging with fitness or business content. That's your behavioral search tool. And finally, you have Google Sheets or Airtable, or if you have GHL, you use that as your CRM, or basically just any way to clean, sort, and manage your leads. You can even use Trello. Now, if you want like super high volume, you could layer in Apollo or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but that's not like absolutely essential. So that combination of what we just talked about, GPT is for search, Clay is for enrichment, Hunter is for validation, Forms are for the CRM. So discovery, enrichment, validation, CRM. Now, basically, the heart of this lesson is what I call the ultimate scraping prompt. And this is pulled straight from like the methods that I've used before myself. So the format or the formula is basically you are blah 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 blah. Okay, I'm not going to read it word for word because it's literally in front of your screen, but we're going to tell it to run it and exclude things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally copy this text. I'm going to go over to my Chat GPT, and I'm going to say, can you make this WW17 level like hyper specific detail better version of a prompt? Okay, so I asked it to do it like specific for me, um, right? And then you can modify this if you would like, um, or just take you're gonna have it in your prompt pack. You're gonna have the what to say, how to say it. Um, but I would say to modify it and give it more context, right? So I'll let this run, and then what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna put this into a different chat because it's easier. Okay, new chat. Boom. Okay. So there's three things we could do with this. Um, we're going to do it regularly. We're going to do it actually four things. Okay. The second one is we're going to put this as a deep research. Boom. And then I'm going to also run this as an agent mode, because this is like its own website. All right. Now, typically for deep research, it asks, could I target a region? Let's do Ontario. Okay. So it's going to run that. Here's what I need to deliver next. Blah, blah, blah. Generate. No. Option B. Then I'll put into CRM, aka Power Pipeline. That's GHL. Okay. So we have all three of these running. Now, another cool thing that I will tell you and wait, scraper prompt, what? So this is by not doing the deep research or the agent, right? We need to enrich if this, yeah, let's go. So this is just like the very basic generic one. I'll show you what it would look like with more context and specificity. Um, so let that run. Now what I'm going to also show you is in the next module, I'm going to show you how to make like GPTs, right? So what I've actually done, I don't know if it'll load, is I've made a GPT specifically for this, for research and out, like for, what do you call it? For scraping. There we go. So there we go. Lead Hunter AI, Gym Scraper, and Score. Okay. So what I'll also show you is I will take that same prompt and I'll put it in that as well. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, hold on. Let me go to this one. This one was better. So this is the GPT agent that I made. If you want access to this, if you're seeing this inside the school, just send me a message. But the issue is it's not going to be personalized necessarily your business. So if you want a custom one, you let me know. But what I'm going to show you on the back end of like what it would look like or how I made it is the instructions. And I'll go into this in more specifics with module 5. But in terms of configuration, I made the description, I gave it instructions. There's conversation starters. There's also the knowledge in terms of like what to do, how to do it, blah, 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 like in terms of samples. So I'll go into that into more specifics. So because of the prompt that I gave it, it's now running this, right? So that's the GPT agent. The other GPT agent is just whatever working, and then the deep research is also looking for everything, and then what we're going to do is consolidate everything. Okay, this is how another level, like you just go crazy, right? Okay, so the agent that I made has already finished because it's programmed to do it, so it's going to go a lot quicker. It's also organized it in terms of lead score. And then the regular chat has finished, but it only gave me 10. It didn't give me 50, so now I'm asking for 50. These are still going. And so then once this is all done, I'm going to consolidate all of this into a master. A really important thing to mention though, okay, when we're doing this in terms of the lead generation, you want to make sure that you tell it like what to exclude, right? And so then for research mode, that's the best for accuracy. And you don't want to do more than 50 because then that's going to, well, like kind of make GPT go crazy. So once I finish with these, I'm going to consolidate everything and then we're going to go into enrichment. Okay, so the regular chat has finished. How it came out was not terrible, but it wasn't great. It wasn't like that specific, but that's okay because then we're going to like clean it up, right? So it gives me the name, gives me their handles if they have one, their phone numbers. A lot of them are missing, so you might have to do some manual research. Then it organizes it from top to bottom, etc. So again, I'm going to consolidate all this shortly. All right, so it took like 17 minutes, but that's good. 17 minutes for deep research, but yet it'll save you it's like, I don't know, 7 hours minimum. So what you could do that's really cool about this is you could just download it as a PDF itself. You'll see all the stuff that's inside of here. And then what I'm going to do, and what I have done, is I'll just close this tab and I'll go over to here. I made a prompt while I was waiting where you are like, I basically just made like a hyper specific detailed prompt saying, hey, here's all this stuff. Can you take all this stuff and consolidate it? So I'm just waiting for the GPT agent to finish. It's taking a while. I might scrap it just due to time restraint, but I'll give it like 5 more minutes and then we'll go from there to see this output. Okay, so we're back in a little bit of an update, but this is, I kind of went a little overboard and overkill, but what else is new? And this is really crazy what was able to be done. So first thing, let's go into what I was showing you with the GPT agent. Now, I'll be honest, in terms of time constraint, this took literally 43 minutes. That could have had a lot to do with internet and using literally like 8 different chats at the same time with GPT. I'm not sure. I've never waited this long for something like this, and it only gave It didn't give that many. It said it gave like 17, but some of them were overlapped with others. Nonetheless, I just want to show you that. So then, as I alluded to before, if I go all the way to the top, I took all of them, of like all the different sheets and whatnot, and some of the I made like a list in my phone as well, right? And I gave it this long prompt, and if you want it, you'll let me know. Originally, I don't know why it did what it did in terms of splitting that stuff up, but then I said like redo it, and I changed it from auto to thinking, and then heavy thinking, and then I went over this Excel sheet, which was like I think version 1, which was this, or version 2, and some of the data and some of the columns were messed up, so I just gave it like a long voice message prompt and telling it what to redo, and then long story short, this is the final product. So as you can see, we have the gym name, the contact owner, if that's available, which it wasn't really, the website, Instagram, LinkedIn, phone number, contact, address, city, notes, lead, and ranking. Ranking is basically like how well they are in terms of a fit. And there's about 80 leads here. Okay. So then what I've done as a pretty cool experiment, let me just move my bar over, is I wanted to show like a real life math breakdown of this. So like I said 65 because I thought it was 65 leads, but it's really 80. But in reality, CPL, or cost per lead, is for a B2B average, it could be like up to $200, right? I guess it really depends. So for cold calls, even still, $12 to $61, right? Or lead gen agencies, $40 to $200. So it really does depend. But even using my normal metric for like fitness offers, around $10 CPL, it's pretty conservative, right? So what I thought was really cool was to just put this into like actual numbers and perspective. So as a segue or as a fallback to what we've done before in previous trainings, is just to show you as a dashboard. What I did is I just made like a cost saver, or a way to visually show you basically. And I don't know if this is perfect, but it'll probably get my point across. So let's do 80 leads. Okay. Assumed, so external cost per lead inbound. So assumed would probably be like 8. Get rid of the 0. Assumed cost probably like 12. And assumed cost for high would be conservatively, let's say 30. Okay, hours spent on this, let's say 2. Hourly rate, what is this? I don't know what the hourly rate is. Oh, like how much I make. So yeah, let's leave it at 300. Okay, total cost for this batch. I don't really. Oh, the I is not working. I don't know. So yeah, hourly rate is basically like what you're worth, right? But then if you had a VA doing this, you would put their hourly rate. Okay. So then the total cost for this batch, this is any one-time like software expenses that you use. So like if we're gonna use Phantom or Outscraper, whatever. So if we spent nothing, so far right now with this example, I've literally spent nothing. Technically, I have GHL and a CRM, which I'll show you after, but whatever. Right now, we're going to leave it at 0. Now, VA enrichment, if you have a VA like verifying, adding contacts into each lead, etc., I would recommend you do that. And what is the next step where we're going to like verify everything? But anyways, if you did it all yourself, amazing. So then it's 0. If not, you're going to do like probably like $1 a lead, let's say. We're literally going to do $1 per lead. That's on the high side, by the way. That's if they're like really slow. Now the duplicate rate percentage, that's just basically how many people. So 5% is probably doable. And then invalid, if scrapes are bad, then enter 10. So we could even just leave that there. Booking rate percentage. This is conversion from raw to booked calls. 5% is pretty realistic for cold. 10 to 20% if warm or referral based. So we're going to leave it at, honestly, let's even do it at 3. Okay. And then close rate percentage. Now, I'm going to use my normal close rate percentage, which would be 80%. So I'm like 2 out of 3 of these would close. And then the AOV, the average deal, it depends really, right? Let's just put it at 10K high ticket, right? So the internal cost is going to be basically 680, right? The external equivalent value, high end, would be 24. And so the savings, technically speaking, is $7,200, right? But then here's where it gets cool. right? The outcome is basically, I don't know what the ROAS is on this. Okay, so to show you in an actual like visual metric, it's basically like a 24x ROI if we're using ROAS, right? So ROAS is return on ad spend. Now, technically, it's not actually ad spend, but it's not a 4x. It's literally 24x, right? Even if you half that is 12, like even if you have 100 leads and you convert one of them, based off of my math and metrics, it's going to be at minimum, like 12x ROAS, which is just absolutely insane. You can't do that in terms of regular advertisements. Okay. So now that that is out of the way, the next thing we're going to talk about is enrichment and validation. So I've kind of modified this a little bit in terms of like I somewhat did it already when I did the Excel sheet. I did it almost accidentally because I reviewed the Excel sheet and I said what to fix. However, what I didn't do and what you need to do, and what I've already done before filming this to save time, is hunter.io. Okay. Now with Clay, you could also use that to add titles, socials, or missing. We're going to do that live, but with Hunter.io, really, really simple. Okay, you're just going to take the Excel sheet that we have. What is that? You're going to take the Excel sheet that we made. You're going to convert it to a CSV, which is really simple. You just press export. Okay, and then you take the CSV and you plug it in. You need to make an account. I didn't make a live video walkthrough of this, but it's really simple. And then what you're left with is this CSV is the exact same as I had originally on the Excel. The only difference, if we scroll all the way to the end, it's going to show you status. Valid, true, valid, true. So out of the 15 emails that I gave it, 13 are more than likely not going to bounce. And this one is probably going to bounce, right? So that's what you would do with Hunter. Now, okay, so we're going to do a live walkthrough. Now, in full transparency, this is the first time I've ever used this, so I don't know how effective this is. What you could do is once you have the first couple steps with the CSV, right? You could then ask a VA to go through this and go and like if this doesn't work, you could get a VA really easily to go on LinkedIn, find the owner, the contact name by clicking the website, the Instagram, put the LinkedIn URL, etc. Because not a lot of websites put their LinkedIn. But then you could also pretty easily find their email, etc., etc. So let me try this for the first time. Okay. We're gonna create the workspace. How do I hear GPT? Literally. Okay, build powerful workflows. Who cares? We're going to click on I have bad contact data, which is accurate. All right. So, okay, there we go. Import CSV. I was just stuck at the home page. Here we go. Okay, open. Let this run. Okay, we want to make sure this is left as comma because it literally just means like a CSV means comma separated value, so that's correct, right? So then we're going to keep this clicked. First row contains column names. All right. I don't have any other tables right now, so I'm just going to make a blank table, and that's going to complete the import. I've earned 100 credits for create. Woo! Yay! All right, so now basically what we're going to do, right, is we're going to add stuff of what to include. So industries, what to exclude, company size, descriptions. Some of this doesn't really matter. Job title does matter, right? So you obviously want to make sure it's owner or like CEO. It depends exactly what you're looking for, obviously. And then experience. It depends what you're looking for. Location obviously depends what you're looking for as well. You could exclude as well. Languages, education, companies. That doesn't really matter because the companies are going to be based off of what's already in here, right? But languages, certifications, profile. This doesn't really matter all that much. So when we go to the profile section, which is basically what this is going to tell what kind of people to find on LinkedIn, right? So if we're down here, we can just leave that, right? So you want to leave this blank because then Clay will use your uploaded owner full name, which is if you have that, which it seems like we have that, right? So we don't really need to add that. Now, other things we could look for would be like keywords, right? Profile keywords would be gym owner, personal trainer, fitness coach, head coach, general manager, all that stuff. And then headline keywords would be things like owner, founder, CEO, coach, head trainer. About section keywords would be, again, all of this would be applicable to what you're trying to do. Connections, you want to leave blank because that doesn't matter. All right. But now this took our list very, very small. Okay. But this is just to show you as an example of kind of what to do. Now, company attributes, right? Industries to include, very simple: health, fitness, wellness, health and wellness. Okay, boom. Okay, well that didn't work. So we're gonna just clear this then. Very interesting. Again, this is the first time I've ever used this. What if we just do job functions, which would be um, like job titles. Where is it? We can do owner. We could do founder. Uh, we could do chief. Or you know what? Let's do chief. Uh, I don't know how to spell chief. Uh, ops. Oper. Okay, we're just gonna leave this. And then location, we'll leave that. I just want to see if we even get what we get. Import into existing table. Boom. Select. Okay, wonderful. So an error occurred, so I just wasted all that time. I don't honestly know how effective this is versus doing it manually because it doesn't seem that effective. It doesn't really seem to be that great. So we're gonna skip this. Okay, so that brings me back to my last point that I already mentioned. You want your VA to do some of this because it's not perfect. It's never gonna be perfect, and you want it to make sure it double checks that everything is actually like legit and following under that like niche or guidelines, right? And it's not part of like, for example, like a large chain. And then when you do this right, um, you end up with an amazing gold standard lead list, which is clean, accurate, and also verified. All right. And you could do this at gigantic scale. You could do this whole thing and send it to a VA. Now, if a VA were to do this, because this whole thing took me about 2 hours, right? I know this video is going to be like 30 minutes, but so far I was doing other stuff while the GPTs were loading, but it's been like 2 hours. Now, if you multiplied that, well, now that they know the trainings, and they did this for 10 hours, then theoretically speaking, as long as you're not geographically limited in terms of like, I don't know, Canada, right, or Toronto, you could get in about 10 hours of them just doing this, they could get 800 leads, right? And then we can go back to the metrics. Do you really think if you got 800 leads, you wouldn't convert like one person, if especially if you're doing high ticket, or 10 people if you're doing medium, right? So now, the next step is personalized outreach and automation. So now that we have leads, the next step is outreach, and this is where GPT becomes your copywriter. Now, we have a whole module and section on how to personalize and how to make GPT sound like you and talk like your brand and talk on your voice. So we're not going over that right now. But you could theoretically, with your list loaded, you could take it into to GPT and you could ask it like, "Hey, can you act as an expert copywriter for casual cold open emails, et cetera, et cetera." Now, what I've done, okay, to give you an example, and again, I'm going to go over this at a later time to make the agents. This isn't a workflow. This isn't going to be sent automatically. But I have two things, okay? I have Gym Copy Optimizer, which helps for like gym specific landing pages and things of that nature, like for fitness. And then I also created, for actually this exact purpose, I don't know why it's not loading. Hold on. The booked call copywriter. So there's two. They're very similar, but they're both really, really solid. So literally an example would be write a cold email for a gym owner in Toronto. I'm going to just switch this to 5 because I made it when it before 5 came out. So this is a very generic opener. It's pretty poop. I'm not going to lie. So what I'm going to do now, right, is I'm making a very specific prompt to kind of expand on this. So let me copy and paste this. Okay, boom. So I took the original thing that I told you, which was act as an expert copywriter, write a short, and then we're gonna do this. Okay. If you want the exact prompt, just let me know. I'll send it to you. I just have to find it, but like an example would be, hey, I saw your studio on Instagram. I loved your community vibe. Quick idea. I help independent gyms fill their pipeline without relying on ads. Would you like me to show you how? Right? Bad, not great. So this would be what I just told you. The Instagram compliment specific. So I saw your post, blah, 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 blah. This is cold outreach. This is what you could do like through a VA, right? Version 2, which would be like a website compliment. Version 3 would be like a quick win angle. So now what I would like you to do is make a super specific, detailed email for each 3 of these versions. like, because what you gave me above is more like SMS kind of outreach, cold, or on DMs. Another thing you're able to do is you're also able to create hyper specific personal subject lines by referencing something from their post, location, or even something small, like literally a pet in their photos or a recent reward. I guarantee you, if you do that, you will have a much higher open rate, right? But just some another examples of cold openers that you could do, right? So an Instagram compliment, hey owner, hey Bob, I saw that recent post that stood out. The way you did whatever, right, is amazing. I'm blah blah blah, and I do blah blah blah. Could I run you through a free blah blah blah? And another thing you could do is make like a Loom video, right? That also has a huge open rate and much better because it's more personal and it's a pattern interrupt. Okay, so boop boop boop. Now, we're gonna save Taplio for another time. Doesn't really matter right now. Okay, um, but the workflow chart, we have defining the avatar, what you're actually trying to find, and then running the GPT scrape stuff that I showed, then validate, especially via Hunter. For Clay, I don't know. Maybe I did it wrong. I'm not perfect. I'm being honest. That's the first time I ever used it. It didn't turn out well. I feel like you would be getting better benefit out of doing it manually, aka getting it to do your through your VA. Step 4 would then be to import everything into a CRM. So let me show you what that would look like really quick. So if you have GHL, which is the best one, and if you want a really good deal on GHL or to be added as a sub account, let me know. Send me a message. Because I pay as an agency and it's a lot cheaper if you're not an agent. But what I do is you would basically just go to contacts, and then you go to import, and then next, and then import. Okay, and then you have the option update, create, and update. So like if anybody is on this list that's already inside of my CRM, it's just gonna update it. All right. So then what I need to do is figure out gym name would be just the name, I guess. Or I'll put it as contact ID. That doesn't matter. Website would be webs. Do I have website here? Yes, I do. Okay, cool. So I don't need a custom field. Instagram handle. I don't think I have an Instagram handle here. Oh, social links. There we go. Boom. Phone number. Phone. That's already done. Email. Email. Address. Business. Boom. City. Notes. Uh, okay, the rest of this doesn't matter. Don't input data in the 15 unmapped. Correct. Okay, next we're gonna go and create. Where's this? Create a smart list. Boom. Now I could add them to a workflow. I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to add them to workflow right now. There's no point in this. Okay. Workflow would just be setting up automations, and that's a whole other thing. I'm not showing you how to set up automations in a CRM right now, but you could do that, and then I'll show you what that would look like. You should definitely 1000% create a tag. So the tag that I'm going to put here would be scrape AGS1 version 1. Okay, so every single one of these leads that I'm adding are going to be, if I can find the word scrape. There we go. It's going to be tagged with that. All right. So I know where they came from. I know how I got them. Right. But just make sure like you're not adding this to a workflow unless you already have a workflow set up, right? So for me, this is version 1. I have version 2 set up in the very near future, and so then that way I could run them into a workflow. So that's going to load. Now, what that would look like in terms of automation is a really quick, simple overview. So let's say like someone signed up for a lead magnet for us, right? So landing page, YouTube video that you're seeing right now, if you sign up for the lead magnet, then you're going to get it run through basically like what a automation would look like. The trigger is basically they did that. Then they get sent an email like, hey, thanks for booking the call, blah, blah, blah. Or actually, this is for booking the call for the lead magnet. My bad. Here, lead magnet workflow. I believe it's this one. I have to do a better job of organizing that. So boom, hey, thanks, welcome. Here's the PDF that you signed up for, blah, blah, blah. You get that automatically, right? And they get added as a tag. The tag is basically they signed up as a lead magnet. Then they wait, and then they get sent more value, SMS, blah, 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 conditions. So there's a lot of things to go into this, but do one thing at a time. Like set this up, and then honestly, maybe automation, and you're not at that scale yet, right? So then just get your VA to start sending manual emails, all right? I guarantee you it's going to be a high ROI. Like there's no negative or bad things from this to do this. There's other considerations to keep an eye out. Like you need to make sure your emails are validated and that they don't bounce or show up as spam, because that's not good. But yeah, okay. So I mentioned my GPT agents where I made them like for scraping. I showed you kind of what to do for CRM. You could also, if you want a really simple one, you could do Trello. I used to use that a long time ago, Trello through Zapier. But yeah, you can create your own custom GPTs for copywriting or the outreach. Now, finally, what I want you to do, the real reason why this lesson matters is manual scraping is ridiculously slow and stupid. It's very dumb. And if you pay people to copy and paste data, that's going to spend hours, and then you're going to have to spend hours cleaning it up. And so with this, you're at the worst case, trimming 80% of the fat. So you could get a VA to do this for you and save a shit ton of money, right? Now, every business, whether you're a coach, consultant, gym owner, needs a reputable lead system. And that's what separates quote unquote lucky months from consistent months. So what I want you to do is your drills. I mean, it's not for my benefit. It is simply for yours. So basically, simply put, do this whole thing that I sent you. I know it sounds like a lot, but like, what's the worst case scenario? You just spent an hour watching this. Be like the 1% and actually implement and do something. How many people watch a video and do nothing? Right? And that's what's going to separate you from success versus not success. And then when you get a lead, when you get a client and a call booked from this and you close them, you can thank me. Right? Because yes, all right, this whole process might take you 3 hours in total. But let me ask you, whether you sell a product for $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, if you get one client from this, is that worth it? Yes. If you get 0 lines, is it still worth it? Yes, because you learned a lot. And then you could refine the processes and try it again. And I guarantee you, if you do 1,000 outputs, it's almost impossible for you to fail and not get one close from this. Okay? Now, key takeaways. Your outreach is only as good as your data. All right? So if your list is clean, it's verified and specific, your results will be much more predictable and much more scalable. And once you get comfortable with running these, you're then going to see and how to tie it directly into module 5, where we're going to build workflows around this shit, where it's going to run the entire automation process for you. So, boom, deliverables will be below. And then next lesson, building GPT agents for outreach and automation. That'll be in module 5. This is still in module 4, but you get the gist of it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I really would appreciate you drop a like and subscribe. I know the likelihood of you seeing and listening to me right now is like probably less than 1%, but I appreciate you. Go take action. Implement this. This is really valuable stuff that I just dropped for free. So enjoy.